Hey guys, good morning. Thank you so much for joining the session. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So, as part of health insurance claim project, we are continuing the everyday with the new concepts, right? And as part of this, we're actually building the user authentication module. It's a separate app. So in that, there is a registration we already completed for the new user registration. Right now, we are working on to the user login authentication. So creating the login, what I can say that we are creating the login form and creating the login views and login HTML page to show to access the user to login, something like this. Okay. Now, straight away we'll go to the programming. Actually, in yesterday, I actually built this code, but unfortunately, due to some network issues, so the video is not went correctly. But I am actually now showing that what we have done in the previous session. Okay. So if you look at this, today I'm talking about completely on the login, how to do the login in the Django, right? So here we have the multiple steps we need to follow. And before that, let me tell you, okay, let me go to this notes. Okay, what exactly when you are going to work on the logins, okay? So here, first thing is we have to create a login view. And before that, there is also something is called the login form, right? So first we need login form here, okay? We have to create login form and next login view. Then this view must be called from the URLs, okay? And this URLs will be there automatically registered into the main app URL. And in the main app URL will call to the this something like template and we'll display it. In the template is actually like login.html, right? So this is how we have to do it. So you have to create a form, then view, then URLs. This URLs is in our case, it is a user URLs. We have separate one is called the users. You can see here in the left side, I expanded that menu, right? So this is how we have to do it. But interesting note you should remember in the Django login forms, okay? Django login forms, we are using the existing functionalities because Django itself is providing the own authentication process, right? So own authenticate process. So what we are going to do, right? We are going to use the Django authenticate process instead of using by yours own functionality. Okay. Now you may ask where this Django authenticate process, I mean, where this authenticate functionality is there. So you can go to this views. Okay. Here we can see I actually taken these are the things. Okay. Let me explain this one before going to this. So Django itself has its own, what I can say that contrib. Django is the main module. Under that, contrib is the project. Under that, there is something called authentication is a separate what I can say app. In that, there is a three functions are there. For login purpose, we can use the existing login function, existing authenticate function, and logout. If you want to do the logout also, we can use this login, authenticate, and logout. So the point is very clear. In the Django, when you are working on to the checking the whether the user is a valid user or not, we have to use these functions. Authenticate is like validation purpose. The user is really existing in the database or not. Second thing is login. So login is the function to allow the user to log in. And finally logout, which is like we are killing the existing user session and we are asking user to come out of the session itself, right? So let's go now and we'll see. First thing is, as for this flow, we have to first prepare the login form, right? So let me go to, because this is already I've done in the yesterday, but due to some reasons the video is not went out because of the video is corrupted. So that's a reason already I've done yesterday this, but I'm just showing you now how this is there. So you can see here there is a login form, right? This login form is you have to take the class and you have to do one thing here. There is a class we have to inherit it. Generally, in the previous registration, we are actually doing the model form we are inheriting. Right now, we are using the existing form. This existing form is already created by the Django for the users. We have seen that from the day one, there is a separate name, separate table is called the user. In that, we have the first name, last name. Okay, so that is actually this form only. If I want to go and show you this one, you see this is the actual form which is given by the directly Django itself. I'm showing that this code is the Django source code. You can see here there is a username, password, and error message is there. So if you want to use this authentication form, you have to inherit from that file. So what I have done here in this forms, I have to go here. See django.contrib.authentication.forms. So this django.contrib.auth, it's one of the main module, main app which we already registered inside the settings.py, right? You can see here, this is the one. We are actually working on this. See, when you are working on to the user authentication, generally we use this one, django.contrib.auth, which is really important when you want to authenticate the login user, right? Now that's the reason of what I have did here from django.contrib.auth, and inside that there is a forms. You just remember here, I don't know whether you observe or not, this auth is the existing app from the Django, which has the models, which has the forms, which has many things like. Okay, so it is a separate app which is created by the Django for you to ready-made the code to work on it. So that's the reason now we can see here. So this forms and import authentication form. We have authentication form here, right? This authentication form, what I can do, right? I will use the inheritance concept. Anyway, when I'm going to create a form is a class. So class login form, authentication form, this is a Django form. Then after that, what I will do, right? I will add meta class here. Inside the meta class, what are the model which I'm referring to? I'm referring to the existing model name is called the user. This is not I created. This is already Django is giving to us. This is there in the auth.models and import user. So what I mean to say that this entire login form, we are using the existing functionality of the Django. One is the authentication form. The model is the user. Inside the user table, I don't want all the fields. In the login form, generally what we ask email or password or username or password. Sometimes both email and username and password combination, right? So in this case, in this table, I want username and the password. So that's the reason we actually considering these fields only. But you can also add, if you want, instead of username, you can also add email also. It's up to you, like how you are going to consider this case, right? So in this case, we are taking the user and the next one username and password. This will be considered. If you want very nice and look of these fields, you can take this username and forms.char field and forms.char field. This is the input, text input. This is the password input, right? So this is how the form is created. But when you do this way, if you can go back to the our project, let me show you how this looks. If you can look at this, this is the current project. So this is the login form, right? So you can see a look and feel will come here like this. But I will show you how this page is created. You don't worry. But I'm just talking about these two fields. If you want very nice look, then we can use this class is equal to form control dot bg light. For example, instead of bg light, if I give something like uh, primary, okay. If I go now, okay, you can refresh the page here. So you can see this is the bg means background is the one is the blue, primary means blue. I changed it, but I don't want the primary to be here. Better to give always light, because this gives a very nice look when I'm refreshing the page now. See, now it looks good, right? So we can control the entire style from the classes itself. So this is the class. This class only controlling the look of you, because you are writing everything in the Python code. This is the form is in the Python code. So that is the beauty, right? Okay, so these are the attributes we are using. Label is equal to password and widget is equal to password input. and username is the label username, and widget is equal. Like this, we are providing the information, right? So we are done with the form. As for the flow, you can see here, as for the flow, first one is the login form. Next, most important thing is the view. This is most important thing as for the logic, right? You can look at this login view. This is the code, okay? This is the code. You can just focus. If you want to be understand this login authentication, this is the main form you should understand very clear, and this is almost all is common for the all the projects which you do it, right? So what is the login form? Login view, sorry, login view is the so you have to use the request is the first object, and it is a function based views. If request dot method is equal to post, then you create an object for this form is equal to login form, and you can get the username password from the database, and we can authenticate those data. There is an authenticate function which is there in the django.contrib.auth import login authenticate. So here actually we use the authenticate function. In this authenticate function, we have username is equal to uname and password is equal to password. And if you want to see that whether this data which is coming or not, we can use the print statement just for cross checking it, but we have to remove it when it goes to the production. We should not keep the print statements. We have to use the logs. So if user underscore data is not none, then what we can do, right? Okay, that means user data is exist. Then we'll ask that user to log into this login. So login is actually a existing function from the Django itself. It accepts the first parameter is the request, second parameter is the user in this case, right? So we have to ask user to log into this. Basically, this login is actually there from the, okay, you can see here in the contrib.auth authentication only, right? So that's how we can define it there. And if something, the user data which is not correct, we are saying that user to get into that error message. So message will come username and password is incorrect, and else the form is equal to login form and return render and to the page. Basically, we created the separate page here, login.html. So with the request.method, you do this action. Else you create an object for this the first time when you log in. But first time it is a get method only, right? First time when you open the page itself, it will open the object for the login form only. Then you can see the data. So that's how it is there login view, right? As part of this flow, the first one is the form, then is the view, then after that is the URLs. You can go to this URLs. We have to call this one path login views dot login view. Name is equal to login. Name is equal to login. This is how we can define it, guys. Okay. So login views, login view, name is equal to login. This login view anyway we are defined here. In this login view, we can go to the login form. In the login form, we already mentioned the model is the user. It's everything is connected. Actually, it's a flow, right? So this URL, basically this login URL, we are actually using it from the where we are actually using this login. We are actually using this login in the base app. You can go to this base app, and there is in the templates. There you can go to the base.html. You can see here, I already created the link here. The same link you are seeing it here also, right? So this link here I am created here, login. So this is how it works, guys. We can basically use the login. Login will be there here, right? So now when I click this login, it will go to this URL, fetch the details. But comes to this, there is a users folder here. In that there is a login.html. What we can do, right, mainly that data. So I added some extra images and everything here. That's not a big deal. So what we can see here, so there is a form, this line number 23, I mean the one which I'm highlighting now, this is the actual code for the login form. So what we have done, this form method is equal to post. This is very important. And CSRF token, when you use the post, and then form key, because you are sending the key is actually a form key here. You can see this is the key which you are sending. That key only I am accessing from here. Then form will be displayed. Then there is an input submit button. Submit is the login, and reset. This is how it is there. Then so let me go and check now whether I am able to log into this page or not. So I'm just giving now username is the admin, and again admin. So I'm going to check that whether I'm able to log in or not. You can look at here something interesting, guys. Here I'm giving only three menus: tab, new user, login, and new user and login. For register user, we can use new user, and login is the login. Now this admin I have given. So what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to click this. I have to log into the different page. You can see here, okay, in the view, if the login is successful, I have to see the client data. If it is a successful, have to go and see the client data. So that's what I am trying to do it here. So I'm just giving the admin and clicking on the login button. So you can see now I'm able to see the client data, right? This is how the client data can be shown. But this client data you can see after the login only. And one more important thing is that here I am giving the user name once after the login. This is the user, and of course if you want to go to the admin screen, we can go to this. If you can click on it, admin screen, or if you want to back, you can just come back. And if you want to, but this login user we should not show. I will disable it very soon. But just you can observe this, we should not show no user and login once after the user is logged in. This is not correct way, right? User is already logged in, so why we have to show again login? This is incorrect. We should not also show the new user. It is not required to show. So what we can do, right, that we can remove it with some conditions, I will tell you. But now you may wonder how these entire menus are showing up, right? These menus are showing up is because in the base.html, let me go to the base.html, then I will show you what I have done. There is a existing, if request dot user is authenticated, there is an existing function. So request dot user dot is authenticated, it always returns to true or false. If a user is authenticated, then you can show which one, this hospitals, patients, companies, all this information you can show. If a user is not authenticated, then don't show this one. So that is how it basically works, guys. If a user is authenticated, you can show. If a user is not authenticated, then don't show. Okay, you got it, right? So that's how basically we represent the what menus you want, what menus you don't want. For example, okay, just for your information, if I'm going to put this one comment, let me first logout button. Still, I'm not mention it here. I will mention it in shortly. But as of now, I'm log out from the uh, admin screen itself. But no problem, I can do it now. This is there, right? This tab new user login. If I'm going to put this one into the comment section, and there is also end if is there. This is the one. If I'm going to put this one also in the comment, and now if I'm going to refresh this page, okay, and okay, yeah. Okay, let me. Now we can see this user tab login. If I'm going to log in again, this is, you can see this login button, right? Admin button and all, right? So now that's how it works basically. So you have to keep the request dot user is authenticated, and then you can see this. This is working, right? Now what we can do, right? I'll provide the logout button here, right? So we'll give the logout button here. I will add the logout button. Before going to use this logout button, we don't need any form for the logout. It's just like a button only. We don't need to worry about the, what I can say, that creating the form here, because it's just killing the session only. So for that, we have to go to the views. Already I created the logout here, logout view and request. But interesting note is that there is a logout function inside this authentication. So we can use this logout function and pass the request there and return and redirect to the index. Okay, so index is which page you want to index. Once you log out, which page you want to go, that is the index page only, right? So that's a reason we have to mention this logout must be called from the URLs, because that's how we have to do. So I'm going to write it now, path, and here it is the logout slash and views dot, okay, logout view, the name is equal to logout, right? As simple as. name is equal to logout. Now this one I have to call from the HTML page URLs. So let me go try now. So base.html, we already added the extra menu here. So that the one which I copied is the login. So I will change this one to the logout. And the logout, you can see here the logout, right? So it's simple. Now what I will do, right? I will go and refresh the page here. You can see there is a logout button, right? If I go and click this logout button, it should be logout. See, we are done. But thing is that this is showing up again, but we can fix that issue also. I don't want to show this login and logout. Once the user is logged out, we should not show the logout button, right? So those things what we can do, right? This logout button, I cannot include here. I'll include only user is logged in here, right? So for example, now if what I will do, right, I will log in now. So give this admin logout. Then you can see logout which is showing here. If I click the logout button, and you can see there is no logout button is showing after the user is exist, because I kept this logout menu inside the authenticated one only. If it is a user is authenticated only, we can show, right? If user is authenticated only, we can show. Now this login is there. I can use this admin, just click on it. But you may wonder after login, why this user is login is there. We can also remove that one. We have to keep the else if condition. Let me go and try that one too. So now we have the if, this is the if user is authenticated, and then you can show these menus, right? That's how we have it. And yeah, okay, else, okay, so else, okay, and here you can write and if. Now I'm going to log out. So again, login. Just you can give this. Okay, already file is saved. I'm just cross checking. See that is gone, right? So what is gone? Here, this new user and login. Actually, I given the else statement. Previously, I given the if statement. Now you see. So what is happening here? It's very simple. We have now. Okay, we have all these menus, right? Okay, all these menus are there. So if user is authenticated, then you show the menus what you want: hospitals, patients, and you can show these companies and all. If user is not authenticated, that's called else condition. In the else condition, you can show login, new user, and start. This is only can be shown when user is not logged in, right? So once user is logged in, the menus are different. So that's how this is showing up here, right? So now logout button is there here, but I don't want logout button to be here. I want to bring this logout button in the under the user menu. So what I can do, right? I will take this. Okay, I'll go to this. There is all queries. So what we can do? Let me do. There is a small mistake also there. Let me click on the logout. You can. There is a menu. This is also we are showing up, but I don't want to show this one too. What we can do, right? We'll take this entire list. I'll keep this one into the inside the user is authenticated only. Okay. So this menu can show only after user is okay login. So this menu, I'm just adding it here. So you can simply use this href. Okay. Just using this href here and logout button, so, which is logout will be there. Now I don't want this list here. So you can see this. I'm going to refresh the page again. So there is no any menus, nothing here. Okay, if I go and log in, admin, just click on it, and the admin, there is a logout button. But you may wonder why contact us page here. Better we can bring it to why contact us page can be shown even after, without login also, right? So what I will do, right? This contact us link is there, right? This I will put as a comment, or I will take it to the outside of this page. So even if user is not logged in or user logged in, and we can show this page. So I will keep the entire thing is outside. It's not related to the authentication process, whether it is authenticated or not authenticated, we have to show it. So that's where like this contact as we are going to show. Just take this one and I will keep it here. keep this one like this, right? And this is the contact us, and yeah, this is how it works, right? This is how it works. Now what we can do, right? This one anyway, this comment section anyway we don't want, we can remove it. And this contact we created only for form. This is the model contact. Okay, we can check my previous sessions, you can get understanding it. Now I'm going to refresh the page, so you can see contact us page is always there. You don't need to worry about it because it's always there. For example, if I go and log out this, and contact us page is there. So you may think like contact us page is not in the right place, okay, and it must be there in the somewhere at the beginning, and about us page, and also we can add, for example, this tab also we can keep. I don't want this one to be here. I'm just changing it, guys. If user is authenticated or not authenticated, so that we are not checking it. But these menus, I'm just going to keep it here. One is this tab, another one is the what I can say that this contact us, because these are all customizing the menus. Okay, so you can show that as well. Now I'm going to this scroll down, and because authenticated is also part of authentication, user is login, so I'm talking about the user authentication only. Once the user is logged in, how we can show the menus. If user is not logged in, what menus you want to show, that is what I am discussing about here. Right now but I'm placing into the right shape. You can see stamp and contact us is always there, and if you logged in, and you can use admin whichever the username you want. Now you can see stab contact is there, but these menus will be shown only after the login. And we have the now anyway all the pages we have it. So we already discussed this page. I mean staff we are not created it. I will see this. We have this menu also created it, right? So you can click this logout button. This is done. But you may wonder what are the messages we are not showing up, right? Can user is successfully logged out and all that we'll discuss in tomorrow session. But tomorrow session, what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to create something like a user profile. That user profile is very important. How to show the user profile and all, how to maintain the users. This is just considered for the login. And in the next session, what I will do, right? I'll create a profile, and I will create users information. Profile and users is the next session. And after that, we'll move on to these showing. Okay, tomorrow also I will try to cover the messages as well, if possible. Okay, so that is how the plan is that. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll definitely will help you. That's all about this session is. Okay, thank you so much for joining the session. We'll catch up